The audience section of Google Analytics is full of information to help you understand characteristics about your user. This includes information about their geographic location all the way to the type of device they're using to access your site. There are even other reports in the audience section that help you understand your user's behavior over multiple visits to your site, like how often they're visiting and how much time they're spending between each visit. In summary, the audience report is going to provide you insight into the demographics of your audience, the mix of new and returning users and their level of engagement, the browsers and networks being used to access your site, and any mobile devices that are being used as well. Let's talk briefly on each of these reports. Because this is an essentials course, I'm only going to be diving deeper on the most widely used reports later in this chapter. But I'd still like to walk you through what each one does so you can explore it further on your own. Here on the left-hand side, I'm going to leave the overview, as I'm going to talk about this in the next movie, and select cohort analysis. So a cohort is a group of users who share a common characteristic, and that characteristic is going to be defined by your cohort type, in this case, acquisition date. You can also then choose the metric, which is, say, user retention, goal completions, page views, and so on. So all the users that have the same acquisition date are going to belong to the same cohort. And this allows you to see what happens to this cohort over time. This is a really fantastic view for certain business goals, and you'll really want to spend some time exploring just what you can unlock with this cohort data. Next, we have our demographics reports. These reports allow you to understand the age and gender composition of your audience. This allows you to precisely tailor your content and your advertising. Think of everything on your site, the graphics, the language, even the user design as far as how technically sophisticated it is all essential to the type of audience that you're catering to. If you have a much older age range, you might want to spend some time making the fonts a little bigger, the buttons a little larger. If you have a much younger age range, you might need to pay key attention to content trends and current viral patterns. Next, you have your interests reports. Interest information is really exciting. It gives you context for expanding your content and even your advertising into related markets, which are known as affinity categories. These are things that all of your users sort of have in common. It also helps you understand how to focus on the users who have demonstrated a likelihood to consume your content or purchase your product, and that would be your in-market segments. From here, let's take a look at your geographical reports. You have both language and location. It's really important to know whether you're getting a response from users to whom you direct different language versions of your site, but it's also important to know if you're getting traffic from sites that you do not support in terms of a language. If you came into your language report and saw that a prominent amount of traffic spoke Spanish, you might consider adding Spanish language localization into your site. Next, we have our behavior reports. Behavior reports really measure the gravitational pull of your site and the extent to which you're finding these first-time users and encouraging them to return to your site. This is really looking at how new users and existing users use your site and identifying patterns to see if sales are higher in one or the other department. Next, you have your technology reports. These are going to help you understand how people are connecting and consuming your content. This is really valuable if you're planning an upcoming implementation and deciding whether you need to support the feature in all browsers or just modern browsers. If you find that you have a bug on your site that exists in a very small subset of mobile devices, and your traffic suggests that that's less than 1% of all of your visitors, well, then you might not need to worry about that right away. From here, you have your mobile reports, which really take your technology drill down to the next level. Mobile is so big that Google has its own section for mobile. More and more users are migrating to mobile devices, so it's really important that you are able to understand what devices they use, how they're inputting information, and even the screen sizes, so you can figure out how to tweak your content to scale it to those various devices. From here, you have benchmarking reports. Benchmarking allows you to compare your data with other industry data from companies who have opted to share it. This really provides you with some valuable context and helps you set meaningful targets and even gain insights into trends that are occurring across the industry. For example, you might see a dip in traffic and be questioning whether or not that has to do with seasonality. You can come into your benchmarking report, and if you notice that overall at the industry level, traffic is declining for that particular period, it's safe to assume that your entire industry is impacted by that seasonality. And finally, you have your users flow reporting. And this is really a graphical representation of all the paths users have taken through your site, from the source through the various pages, and even where they exited, which is indicated by the red line. Take a minute to explore the various reports on your own analytics view. And in the next few movies, we're going to dive deeper into the most common and important reports for you to spend some time with.